North Korea, the real-life Orwellian country. North Korea is a prime example of a dystopian and Orwellian society. It encapsulates several Orwellian-like characteristics. The Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un allows for zero privacy, allows for his citizens to die, allows for suppression of thought, idea, and belief. He strips his citizens of their basic human rights. In North Korea, there is no freedom, there is no saving, there is only Kim Jong-un's rule. The United Nations Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, set up by the Human Rights Council, issued a report in 2014 documenting extermination, murder, enslavement, torture, imprisonment, rape, forced abortion, and other sexual violence in North Korea. North Koreans are under constant surveillance and are extremely restricted. Every act they do is monitored by the government. They are not able to leave their country without permission. In addition, they are not able to move to different parts of the country either. They must get permission from a high-ranking official. They are not allowed to use any electronics nor make their communication with each other. There is no privacy in North Korea, only the government constantly watching them. There is no freedom of speech in North Korea, as criticism of the regime or the leadership in North Korea, if reported, is enough to make you and your family disappear from society and end up in a political prison camp. But if it is not the government, then it is the neighborhood watch. A North Korean defector describes the surveillance as, in North Korea, it is always possible that your friend, neighbor, or coworker could be working for this network of people who helped the informants of the MSS. North Korea has a policy of inspection known as the 1 in 5 household system. This means that in every 1 out of 5 households, there is someone that works for the MSS. Hence, in every 1 out of 5 households, this means that someone will be watching. In 1984, the people experience a sort of the same thing. Winston encounters a 9-year-old who screams, "You're a traitor, you're a thought criminal, you're a Eurasian spy, I'll shoot you, I'll vaporize you, I'll send you to the salt mines." In addition, the party's newspaper, The Times, did not carry a paragraph describing how some eavesdropping little sneak, child hero, was the phrase generally used, had overheard some compromising remark and denounced his parents to the thought police. Winston later encounters Tom Parsons, a person immersed in the party's ideology. His daughter turned him in for saying "down with Big Brother" over again in his sleep. Instead of being angry and upset at his daughter, he says, "I don't bear her nor grudge her for it. In fact, I'm proud of her. It shows I brought her up in the right spirit anyway." In this case, he was happy that someone detained him for going against Big Brother. While his reaction might not happen in North Korea, the idea of spying on people for the government has a clear resemblance in both societies. You had to did live, from every habit that became instinct, in the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, and, except in darkness, every movement scrutinized. The Committee for Human Rights in North Korea estimated that the prison camps hold 120,000 detainees per camp. There are over 400,000 that have died in each camp. The United Nations viewed the imprisonments as crimes against humanity. In total, it is estimated that over 3 million people have died in North Korean camps just from starvation, and this number is constantly rising. The health conditions inside the prison camps are extremely unsanitary. They live in mud houses that have no protection from the elements. If a person were to get sick, they would go to the clinic. Kang Cho-hwan stated in The Aquariums of Pyongyang, "The medical services that the medical clinics provide are very primitive. If you become ill, you cannot get treatment." He wrote the prison camps, which described the conditions of them. He stated there were 2 sections of the prison camps. One that was restricted for the regular people, because that's where the people stayed there for life, and there was another section where he stayed, where people would only stay for a certain amount of time. In addition, they have public executions.
These North Koreans were not so lucky. Every year, countless North Koreans are caught in China and repatriated to North Korea, where they can be tortured, imprisoned, or publicly executed.
Torture in North Korea happens often and is a result of people's unwillingness to comply. Kim Young, a North Korean defector, stated, "The most painful form of torture they used against me was to insert very sharp bamboo needles under my fingernail and push them up the finger to the first knuckle. When the needle goes in, the pain makes your whole body shake." In Aquariums of Pyongyang, it talks about the public executions that are held often. The author states, "In the fall of 1986, a condemned prisoner who didn't have enough pebbles stuffed into his mouth, or had somehow managed to spit them out, began proclaiming his innocence and screaming that Kim Il-sung was a little dog, one of the worst things you could call someone in Korea. To shut him up, one of the guards grabbed a big rock and shoved it into the man's mouth, breaking his teeth and turning his face into a bloody mess. Then, I suddenly noticed his mouth. So that's how they shut him up. They had stuffed it full of rocks. The guards were now tying him to a post with 3 pieces of rope, at eye level, around the chest, and at the waist. Aim at the traitor of the fatherland. Fire." Recently, a US student, Otto Warmbier, was caught stealing a North Korean poster when he went on tour there. It was described as caught committing a hostile act against the state. He was sentenced to 15 years in hard menial labor in North Korea. He stated, "We are forced to watch public executions. We are physically abused, hit, and tortured." Otto also compared the torture in the camps to Nazism. Winston faces torture as he does in Room 101. He faces his greatest fear, rats. The party eventually gains control of his mind, and Winston says the long hoped for bullet was entering his brain. At the end, the last words were, "He loved Big Brother." This shows that the party completely took over his brain and his mind, and this is an example of vaporization. They also tortured him by electrocuting him with dials.
And I was very proud. In school, we spent a lot of time studying the history of Kim Il-sung, but we never learned much about the outside world. Except that America, South Korea, Japan are the enemies.
As you can see, the North Koreans are constantly inundated with propaganda from their government. According to NPR, 90% of their citizens see Kim Jong-un as a true patriot, leader, and deity, and didn't really feel as though they were being oppressed. This is an obvious sign of propaganda and mutability of the truth from the government. They change their facts in favor of them. In addition, they have a paper called the Pyongyang Times, which is given to North Korean citizens. This is just purely propaganda. In addition, one of the most notable propaganda is against the US, and some of them, they show the US terrorizing their innocent people. As Lee stated, we never learned much about the outside world, except that America, South Korea, and Japan are enemies. Similarly, instead of other countries attacking or drying out North Korea's resources, North Korea should invest in their own country. As Hassan Cooperative Farm stated, "If our country is reunified, it will be rich in food. The country needs to undergo a large reform and practically start anew. The corrupt government and prison camps will not hold together a strong government. The government would need to direct their money into their own economy. But there is no point in bombing North Korea because it would be a waste of resources. And at the rate North Korea is going right now, it will eventually fall and become an even more dystopian country."